The outsider in the academy. The Intergalactic Academy gleamed under the light of twin suns, a structure so vast it seemed to touch the edges of space itself. It was the pinnacle of education, where the galaxy's brightest minds gathered to shape the future. For Leon Carter, however, it felt more like a colossal mistake. He stood at the edge of the atrium, his plain human frame dwarfed by the towering alien figures bustling around him. Zilorians, their crystalline skin refracting light like living prisms, walked with an air of superiority. Broxians, hulking figures with forearms, conversed in booming tones. Even the diminutive Lyriths, with their insectoid features, seemed to radiate confidence. Leon, he felt like an ant in a field of giants. "Watch your step, human," sneered a Zilorian as she brushed past him, her voice dripping with disdain. Leon flinched, muttering an apology under his breath. His shoulders sagged as he clutched his datapad tighter. It wasn't just the students' faculty, holographic announcements, and even the decor seemed to remind him that humanity was an anomaly here. He wasn't the first human to attend the academy, but the others before him had left no notable legacy. Humans were tolerated, not respected, and Leon, he was the least remarkable of them all. Mediocre grades, no special talents, and no defining traits. Even Earth's military academy had rejected him, which was why he'd clung to this opportunity. The academy didn't just train warriors, it trained leaders. But as the first day unfolded, Leon began to wonder if he belonged here at all. The classroom was a circular amphitheater, lined with floating holograms displaying advanced equations and alien star maps. Leon took a seat near the back, trying to blend into the shadows. His heart sank as he glanced at the roster. Torvik Solarian. Everyone knew his name, a prodigy from a species renowned for their combat and intellect. Torvik was everything Leon wasn't: a confident, powerful, and already a leader among the students. The professor, a stern-faced Sidari with glowing teal eyes, addressed the class. "Today's exercise is a combat simulation. Your objective: survive." Leon's stomach churned. Combat wasn't his strength. It wasn't even his preference. He preferred strategy, puzzles, and quiet solutions. But at the academy, survival meant proving your worth in every possible way. The class was divided into pairs, and to Leon's dismay, he was matched against Torvik. The simulation arena shimmered to life, a jungle battlefield complete with towering trees and hostile wildlife. Torvik grinned, his crystalline armor glinting as he activated his energy blade. "Try to last 30 seconds, human. I'll consider it a personal favor." Leon's palms were slick with sweat as he activated his standard issue pulse staff. He wasn't even sure how to hold it properly. The countdown began, and as the timer hit 0, Torvik charged. The academy's announcement boomed across the campus. ***, the ultimate trial begins tomorrow. All third-year students are required to participate. ***, the trial was infamous, designed to test students' abilities under extreme conditions. Success meant cementing a place among the galaxy's elite. Failure meant returning home in disgrace or worse. Leon sat in the academy library, poring over records of past trials. Every year was different, with new challenges tailored to push students to their limits. He couldn't predict what they'd face. But one thing was clear: no one succeeded alone. The trial required teamwork, trust, and a leader capable of making split-second decisions. Dr. Kalsoren approached, his presence as quiet as a shadow. "The ultimate trial is more than a test of skill," the professor said. "It's a crucible. Those who survive emerge as leaders. Those who don't." He trailed off, his glowing teal eyes locking onto Leon. "You've come far, but this will push you beyond anything you've faced." "I'm ready," Leon said, though his voice betrayed his nerves. "Perhaps," Dr. Soren replied. "But remember this: adaptability is your greatest strength. Use it, or you won't make it out." The following morning, the students gathered in the colossal simulation dome. The air buzzed with anticipation and tension, as holographic projectors flickered to life, transforming the room into a hostile alien landscape. The trial was announced: navigate a dangerous war zone, retrieve a crucial artifact, and survive. Leon's team consisted of 4 students: Solana, the Zithari empath who had become his closest ally; Jorik, a brash Broxian whose strength was matched only by his ego; Myra, a reserved Lyrith with exceptional hacking skills; and Krell, a cautious but intelligent Zilarian strategist. They were an unlikely group, their dynamics strained by clashing personalities. As the countdown began, Jorik sneered. "I'll take point. Just try to keep up, human." "No," Leon said firmly, stepping forward. "I'm leading this team." Jorik laughed. "You think you're in charge? Do you want to win or argue?" Leon shot back. The Vroxian glared but stepped aside, grudgingly allowing Leon to take command. The simulation launched with a roar, and the team was thrust into chaos. Alien drones swooped from above, firing energy blasts that scorched the ground. Explosions echoed across the landscape as Leon's team scrambled for cover. Leon quickly assessed the battlefield, his mind racing. "Myra, hack those drones and disable their targeting systems. Solana, find us a safe route through this canyon. Jorik, Krell, cover them." The team hesitated for only a moment before springing into action. Myra's claws danced over her datapad, and the drone's firepower faltered. Solana's empathic abilities guided them through the chaos. Sensing danger before it appeared, Jorik and Krell laid down suppressing fire, holding off the advancing enemy forces. Leon barely managed to sidestep the first attack, the blade slicing through the air where he'd stood moments before. Torvik's movements were fluid and precise, a predator toying with prey. Leon stumbled over a root, narrowly dodging another strike. The crowd watching the simulation roared with laughter. "Pathetic," Torvik sneered. "Is this all humans have to offer?" A spark of defiance flared in Leon's chest. He gritted his teeth, gripping the staff tighter. He didn't want to win, he just didn't want to humiliate himself further. Summoning every ounce of focus, he began to anticipate Torvik's moves, dodging with a growing confidence. For a moment, the laughter quieted, but Torvik was relentless. With a calculated feint, he disarmed Leon, sending the pulse staff clattering to the ground. Leon froze as Torvik's blade hovered inches from his chest. The simulation ended, and the holograms dissolved. Torvik smirked, basking in the applause. Leon's fists clenched as he stared at the ground. He'd survived longer than anyone expected, but it wasn't enough. He was still the outsider, the human who didn't belong. That evening, Leon wandered into the Academy archives, a sprawling labyrinth of knowledge. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, just an escape from the day's humiliation. As he skimmed through ancient records, something caught his eye, a reference to humanity's adaptive will. The term was unfamiliar, but the accompanying text hinted at a dormant potential unique to his species. Leon leaned closer, his heart racing. Could this be the key to proving himself, to rising above the scorn and laughter? The records were vague, warning of danger and uncertainty. But for the first time, Leon felt a flicker of hope. He straightened, determination hardening his features. Tomorrow, he would start again. They hadn't seen the real Leon Carter, not yet. The murmurs in the cafeteria were impossible to ignore. Leon Carter's performance in the combat simulation had cemented his reputation as the weakest student in the academy. The other students whispered about the pathetic human, casting sidelong glances as Leon sat alone, poking at a tray of unidentifiable alien food. Torvik's booming laughter echoed through the hall as he regaled his friends with a dramatic retelling of their duel. "He actually thought he could dodge me. Poor human, barely made it 10 seconds before I ended the fight. Honestly, I expected more of a challenge." Leon clenched his fists under the table. The memory of Torvik's smug grin and the crowd's mocking jeers still stung. He knew he couldn't keep living like this, a walking joke among his peers. He needed to change the narrative, and he'd found a way, one that might just give him a chance. The next morning, the training hall buzzed with activity as students prepared for their daily exercises. Leon waited at the entrance, his heart pounding in his chest. Torvik arrived, flanked by a group of admirers, his crystalline armor glinting under the artificial sunlight. Leon stepped forward, his voice steady despite the storm inside. "Torvik, I challenge you to a rematch, today, in front of the entire class." The hall fell silent, every alien eye turning toward him. For a moment, Torvik looked surprised, but then a slow grin spread across his face. "A rematch? Are you serious? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough?" Leon held his ground. "The last fight wasn't fair. I wasn't ready." This time, I am. Torvik's laughter echoed across the hall. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you when you're crawling back to Earth. The announcement spread quickly, and by midday, the observation deck surrounding the holographic combat arena was packed. Students jostled for the best view, excited to witness what they assumed would be another humiliation for Leon. Leon stood in the center of the arena, gripping his pulse staff tightly. His palms were slick, but he forced himself to focus. Over the past few nights, he'd studied everything he could about combat strategy, alien physiology, and the Academy's training systems. He knew he couldn't match Torvik's raw strength or speed, but maybe, just maybe, he could outthink him. The arena shimmered to life, transforming into a craggy mountain battlefield. Jagged rocks and narrow ledges stretched out before them. Torvik activated his energy blade, his confidence radiating as he strode toward Leon. "You'll regret this, human," he said with a smirk. The countdown began. The fight was brutal from the start. Torvik's attacks were relentless, each swing of his blade forcing Leon to retreat further up the rocky terrain. The crowd cheered for Torvik, shouting his name with every strike. But Leon noticed something. Torvik's confidence was making him predictable. Leon began to use the terrain to his advantage, leading Torvik into tight spaces where his larger frame became a liability. He dodged, rolled, and scrambled up ledges, forcing Torvik to chase him. The cheers from the crowd began to quiet as they realized Leon wasn't falling as quickly as before. Sweat poured down Leon's face as he pushed himself harder than ever. His pulse staff hummed with energy as he blocked one of Torvik's strikes, the impact sending a jolt up his arms. He gritted his teeth and countered with a swing of his own, forcing Torvik to take a step back. Torvik's smirk faltered. "You've improved," he admitted, his tone grudging. Leon didn't reply. He was too focused, too determined. He anticipated Torvik's next move, dodging just in time to avoid a devastating blow. For the first time, the fight felt even. But it wasn't enough. With a sudden burst of speed, Torvik feinted left and struck right, disarming Leon and sending his pulse staff clattering to the ground. Leon fell to his knees, gasping for air as Torvik's blade hovered inches from his chest. The arena dissolved, and the simulation ended. The crowd erupted into cheers, but this time, there was a ripple of respect among the applause. Leon had lasted far longer than anyone expected, and for a moment, it had seemed like he might actually win. After the match, Leon sat in the empty observation deck, staring at his hands. He hadn't won, but he hadn't been humiliated either. He'd fought like he belonged, and for the first time, he felt like he might. "Impressive," a voice said behind him. Leon turned to see Dr. Kale Soren, the enigmatic Sithari professor who rarely interacted with students. His glowing teal eyes regarded Leon with a mix of curiosity and approval. "You have potential," Dr. Soren said. "More than you realize." Leon frowned. "I still lost." "True," the professor admitted, "but you learn it, and that's what matters." "Tell me, Leon, have you ever heard of the adaptive will?" Leon's heart skipped a beat. "I've read about it. Is it real?" Dr. Soren smiled faintly. "Very real. And it might just make you the most dangerous student in this academy if you're willing to unlock it." Leon stared at the professor, his mind racing. For the first time, he felt the stirrings of something he hadn't dared to hope for, belief in himself. "Teach me," Leon said quietly. Dr. Soren's smile widened. "Very well. Let's begin." The resonance chamber hummed with an eerie energy, its circular walls pulsing with faint blue light. Leon stood at its center, his pulse quickening as he took in the strange, alien technology. This was no ordinary training simulator. It was a test of the mind, body, and spirit, designed to push its user to their absolute limit. Few students dared to enter it more than once. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Kale Soren asked, his glowing teal eyes fixed on Leon. Leon nodded, his jaw set. "I have to do this. If there's a way to unlock the adaptive will, I'm ready to take the risk." The professor tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "Very well. The resonance chamber will force you to confront your greatest fears and weaknesses. It will dig deep into your psyche, amplifying the traits that define you. Survive it, and you may unlock what lies dormant within you. But if you fail—" "I won't fail," Leon interrupted, his voice steadier than he felt. Dr. Soren pressed a series of symbols on the chamber's console. The hum grew louder, and the air inside seemed to thicken. "Remember," he said, "your strength comes not from brute force, but from adaptability. Trust yourself." As the chamber sealed shut, Leon took a deep breath. The blue light enveloped him, and the world dissolved. He was standing in the ruins of Earth. The sky was a sickly orange, choked with ash and smoke. Buildings lay in rubble, and the streets were eerily silent. Leon's heart pounded as he recognized the scene. It was a recurring nightmare, one he'd had since childhood. A shadow loomed over him. He turned to see a colossal alien war machine, its limbs bristling with weapons. It moved with deliberate menace, its footsteps shaking the ground. Leon froze, his body screaming to flee, but his legs wouldn't move. "You are weak," a voice boomed from the machine, deep and mocking. "You don't belong here." The words echoed his deepest insecurities, each one hitting like a physical blow. Leon clenched his fists, his breath coming in short gasps. The machine raised one of its massive arms, preparing to strike. "No," Leon muttered, his voice barely audible. The machine paused. "I said, no," Leon shouted, his voice ringing with defiance. He dove to the side just as the machine's arm crashed down, sending debris flying. His body moved on instinct, dodging and weaving as the machine attacked. Each step felt easier, his reflexes sharper. This wasn't real, he reminded himself. It was a simulation, a test, and tests could be beaten. The scene shifted. Leon was now back in the academy, surrounded by his classmates. They all stared at him, laughing and pointing. Torvik stepped forward, his smirk more menacing than ever. "You think you're one of us?" Torvik sneered. "You'll always be a failure." "You think you're one of us?" Torvik sneered. "You'll always be a failure." The crowd's laughter grew louder, drowning out Leon's thoughts. For a moment, he felt the familiar sting of humiliation, the weight of their scorn pressing down on him. But then he remembered Dr. Soren's words, ****. Your strength comes from adaptability. Trust yourself. ****. Leon straightened, meeting Torvik's gaze. "I don't need your approval. I know who I am." The laughter stopped. The crowd disappeared, and Torvik dissolved into mist. The resonance chamber's hum faded, and the blue light dimmed. Leon stumbled out, his body drenched in sweat and his mind reeling from the intensity of the experience. Dr. Soren was waiting, his expression unreadable. "Well," Leon took a deep breath, setting himself. "It was brutal. But I think I understand now. It's not about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about adapting, learning, and pushing past limits." The professor nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "You've taken your first step toward unlocking the adaptive will, but this is only the beginning. The true challenge lies ahead." The next day, Leon joined a group training exercise. The task was simple: lead a team through a simulated alien ambush and secure a safe zone. Leon's teammates included Selena, an empathic Zathari who had always shown him kindness, and two other students who clearly doubted his ability to lead. As the simulation began, chaos erupted. Alien drones swarmed the team, their energy weapons cutting off escape routes. The group panicked, arguing over what to do. Leon stepped forward, his voice firm. "Follow me." To his surprise, they did. He guided them through the maze of obstacles, anticipating the drone's movements and adapting the plan on the fly. His instincts felt sharper, his mind clearer. For the first time, he wasn't just surviving, he was leading. The team reached the safe zone with seconds to spare. As the simulation ended, Selena approached him, her eyes wide. "That was incredible, Leon," she said. "How did you know what to do?" He smiled, the weight of doubt lifting from his shoulders. "I didn't. I just adapted." From the observation deck, Dr. Soren watched, a glimmer of pride in his eyes. The human student was no longer the weakest in the class. He was becoming something far more dangerous, a force to be reckoned with. The Academy's announcement boomed across the campus. ****, the ultimate trial begins tomorrow. All third-year students are required to participate. ***, the trial was infamous. Designed to test students' abilities under extreme conditions. Success meant cementing a place among the galaxy's elite. Failure meant returning home in disgrace or worse. Leon sat in the Academy library, poring over records of past trials. Every year was different, with new challenges tailored to push students to their limits. He couldn't predict what they'd face. But one thing was clear: no one succeeded alone. The trial required teamwork, trust, and a leader capable of making split-second decisions. Dr. Soren approached, his presence as quiet as a shadow. The ultimate trial is more than a test of skill, the professor said. It's a crucible. Those who survive emerge as leaders. Those who don't. He trailed off, his glowing teal eyes locking onto Leon. You've come far, but this will push you beyond anything you've faced. I'm ready, Leon said, though his voice betrayed his nerves. Perhaps, Dr. Soren replied. But remember this, adaptability is your greatest strength. Use it, or you won't make it out. The following morning, the students gathered in the colossal simulation dome. The air buzzed with anticipation and tension, as holographic projectors flickered to life, transforming the room into a hostile alien landscape. The trial was announced: navigate a dangerous war zone, retrieve a crucial artifact, and survive. Leon's team consisted of 4 students: Solana, the Zithari empath who had become his closest ally; Jorik, a brash Vroxian whose strength was matched only by his ego; Myra, a reserved Lyrith with exceptional hacking skills; and Krell, a cautious but intelligent Zalarian strategist. They were an unlikely group, their dynamics strained by clashing personalities. As the countdown began, Jorik sneered. I'll take point. Just try to keep up, human. No, Leon said firmly, stepping forward. I'm leading this team. Jorik laughed. You think you're in charge. Do you want to win or argue? Leon shot back. The Vroxian glared but stepped aside, grudgingly allowing Leon to take command. The simulation launched with a roar, and the team was thrust into chaos. Alien drones swooped from above, firing energy blasts that scorched the ground. Explosions echoed across the landscape as Leon's team scrambled for cover. Leon quickly assessed the battlefield, his mind racing. Myra, hack those drones and disable their targeting systems. Solana, find us a safe route through this canyon. Jorik, Krell, cover them. The team hesitated for only a moment before springing into action. Myra's claws danced over her datapad, and the drone's firepower faltered. Solana's empathic abilities guided them through the chaos. Sensing danger before it appeared, Jorik and Krell laid down suppressing fire, holding off the advancing enemy forces. As they pushed deeper into the simulation, the challenges grew more intense. The terrain became treacherous, with collapsing cliffs and ambushes at every turn. Leon's adaptive instincts kicked in, allowing him to anticipate threats and guide his team through near-impossible situations. But the final challenge wasn't like anything they had faced. They reached the artifact's location, a towering alien monolith guarded by a massive, mechanical warbeast. The creature's eyes glowed with malice as it roared, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Its armor was impenetrable, its attacks devastating. Retreat isn't an option, Leon said, his mind working furiously. We have to outthink it. The team looked to him, their trust evident despite the fear in their eyes. Leon formulated a plan on the spot. Jorik, draw its attention. Krell, analyze its movements for a weakness. Myra, disrupt its systems. Solana, keep us coordinated. The battle was relentless. Jorik dodged the warbeast's attacks with surprising agility, taunting it to keep its focus. Myra's hacking created brief openings, while Krell's analysis revealed a weak spot in its armor near the joints. Leon directed the team with precision, adapting their strategy as the creature changed tactics. Finally, the moment came. Leon sprinted toward the warbeast, his pulse staff charged to its limit. As the team coordinated a final assault, Leon leapt onto the creature, driving his weapon into the weak spot. The warbeast let out a deafening roar before collapsing in a heap of smoke and sparks. The artifact was theirs. As the simulation ended, the holographic landscape dissolved, revealing the cheering students and impressed instructors in the observation deck. Leon's team stood victorious, their bond forged in the heat of battle. Torvik, watching from the sidelines, crossed his arms and frowned. For the first time, he looked at Leon with something other than disdain. It was respect, begrudging, but undeniable. Dr. Soren approached Leon, his expression one of quiet pride. You've proven yourself today, not just as a student, but as a leader. Leon looked at his team, his chest swelling with pride. They had doubted him before, but now they stood as equals. He had faced his fears, pushed past his limits, and shown the galaxy what humanity could achieve. And as he looked to the future, Leon knew this was just the beginning.